my name is Tim Johnson. This is Recovery, Strength, Hope and Courage. The video I'm making today has been inspired by an email that I've had from somebody who's really suffering from tramadol addiction and is deep into it and has tried to stop taking tramadol several times, but the withdrawals have been so incredibly bad that they've not managed it, and they were asking for some advice. I was as part of the many years that I was addicted to opiates, I've been addicted to a lot of different opiates, from codeine, all sorts of Oxycontin, morphine for a period of time, even heroin. I smoked for quite a period of time. The worst by far, the worst in every way by far, was tramadol. And for the sort of the last 3 years of my addiction, it became it nearly killed me, to be honest with you. And I really empathise with this person who's been in contact with me. And I want to just make a few things clear about tramadol before I perhaps give a little advice out to those of you who are really struggling with it. Tramadol was a drug that was widely accepted as being, initially when it was released, in the name of Ultram or Tramadol, whichever. When it was first released, it was considered to be a safe drug in as much as it was a synthetic opioid, but it didn't, when prescribed, they weren't worried about it causing addiction, and that it was for moderate to severe pain, and it was good for that. And it certainly worked for moderate to severe pain, there's no doubt about it, as it's a synthetic opioid. But what they don't tell you, or what they didn't tell you at the time and they're now discovering, is that within those ingredients, within that synthetic opioid, there is an antidepressant hidden in there as well. And the problem is, with this antidepressant in there, the effects that tramadol gives you when taken, even when taken as per prescription initially, you get a type, not only does it stop the pain, you get a type of euphoria, but also a massive rush of energy, which is down to the combination of the opioid and the antidepressants. So you get this, if you're a bit low, you get this sudden burst of energy and euphoria and happiness, as well as it stopping any pain that you're in. Consequently, many millions of people now became addicted to the effects of it and have started to abuse it, so much so that it is now responsible for more deaths than any other opioid in total, because in combination with alcohol or any other benzodiazepine or any other type of drug, it's lethal. But also taken in excess, it can be lethal as well, and will stop your breathing, as a heroin overdose does. And the effects are pretty immediate, let me tell you. The problem and obviously now they're trying to change it. There's many people trying to change it from a Class C drug, certainly in Great Britain, to a Class A drug, the same as heroin, because it is being abused all over the place. And it's certainly come to light recently with Ant McPartlin, half of a very famous duo in England, for those of you in America watching this, becoming seriously addicted to tramadol publicly, and ending up in rehab and nearly dying from it, because it's causing so many issues now that it seriously will become a Class A drug, I believe. And I think that's that. But it won't stop the black market, obviously, and private doctors and doctor shopping and dealers and all the rest of it will get their hands on them. And in Spain here, it's terrible, because you can go into a pharmacy over here and buy tramadol over the counter, which was my problem, because initially it was prescribed to me, having been on all these other opiates. I mean, I had my hip replaced 3.5-4 years ago, and it was prescribed to me by the hospital, which is standard prescribing for an operation such as that. And I discovered, bingo, this is the opiate for me. Because it made me feel great. There's no doubt about it. It wasn't long before, even when the pain eased in my hip, I was still abusing them and still trying to get them from elsewhere, and also trying to blag prescriptions and all the rest of it. And when I came over to Spain, of course, found out that they were for sale in the shops, the problem escalated to an extent where my tolerance built up to such a level that I was taking up to 30 tablets and sometimes more occasionally in a day, which is enough to kill. I mean, and I consider myself very thankful and grateful and blessed that I'm still alive, even to be making this video, because that's how my tolerance builds up, and that's how it can build up, because you're not chasing the effects anymore as so much as trying to keep well, as all of you know that are in the midst of opiate addiction at the moment, and trying to stop. You're not chasing the euphoria anymore, even really, because you can't ever achieve really that again. You're just trying to keep well, and I remember sort of opening my eyes in the morning, and that my first thought would be, shit, I'm in pain, I'm starting to shake, and I'm starting to rattle, and I'm starting to withdraw from this stuff, and I need to find the energy from somewhere and the money, obviously, to go out and make myself well again. But by far the worst thing of all about tramadol, apart from all the numerous things that it will ruin your life, it will take everything from you, and it will kill you, the withdrawal from tramadol, which is what's stopping, obviously, is worse than any opiate that I've ever withdrawn from, because you've got this double whammy. Because you're not only are you going to experience, and I thought they were worse, the effects of the normal effects of an opiate withdrawal, you're also going to be clinically depressed after, because you've been taking an antidepressant, and you're also going to be suffering from the withdrawal from an antidepressant as well. It's horrific, the withdrawal from tramadol, and I totally understand anyone that's really struggling. And all I can suggest is, for me, it was, and if you look back, please subscribe and like these videos. If there's about 115 odd videos now, and within these videos is some advice in detail that I can't, I won't try and get into this video now, but have how to come off, or how I came off tramadol, and how to withdraw from opiates safely and in the best way you possibly can, and then the early recovery. They're all in the videos if you look back. But what I will say that I would suggest for anyone, see, I was in a situation where literally I was desperate, and because of my alcohol addiction as well, I was particularly, I was close to death, and I was desperate, and I really had to make a decision, and I didn't stop the alcohol because, but I stopped the tramadol first. That was the first thing I stopped, and I used the alcohol as a crutch to stop tramadol, I must admit, because it was horrific, that withdrawal, and I stopped all at once. But I wouldn't suggest that to anybody, not particularly with the amount that I was taking. But I did sort of cold turkey, and it was horrific, and the alcohol sort of propped me up. And then 2 months later, as the alcohol was almost killing me because that escalated, I then stopped that, and that was 2 years ago nearly now. So it can be done, and that's the message I'm trying to get across. It can be done, but what I would suggest is that you take, particularly if you're taking a quantity of tramadol, see the doctor, taper slowly down if you can, if you've got the discipline to do that, because it's all very well saying taper, which is the best way, because you can wean your body off slowly, and then you still will withdraw, and it still be painful. We've got to face facts. It will be, but it won't be as bad as if you stop all at once. But I think if you really want the change, and you really want to change your life, you just got to stop it. Whatever, if you've got the discipline to taper, then I applaud you wholeheartedly. I didn't, unfortunately. I just had to stop. But as I say, I used the alcohol as a crutch, and that's not ideal, because that led me to darker places even than before, like so, as you'll hear from in the other videos. But what I will say to you that I often think back to nigh on 2.5 years ago, nearly 3 years ago, when I was at the height of my tramadol addiction, and I just think back to how dark those days were, and how close I was, just a living zombie, a living death. And please don't be like that. Please think now. If you need pain relief, go and discuss it with a doctor. But tramadol had its uses, but it's a dangerous one. If you've got addictive personality, steer clear of it because it is a truly dangerous drug. And you will become addicted to the effects of it very, very quickly, as many people are and have. But it can be done coming off it, as I say, and life is brilliant away from all that shit. And if anyone needs any help or advice, I'm always around, and look back at my previous videos. But that's just a little warning about tramadol. Please, please, please think about it. If a doctor wants to prescribe it to you, or you're offered it, or you think you might have a problem, then steer well clear of it. And if you're stuck on it now, it can be done coming off it, because I've done it, and I was 56 when I came off it, so it can be done at any age. If you can get through that, you can get through anything. There's no doubt about it. So good luck out there. I'm always around for any advice or help. Much love to you all. Tramadol is dangerous. Steer clear. Carpe diem. Bye bye.